How many times have you tried to find happiness only to feel it slipping through your fingers like sand? Do you ever feel like you're running on a treadmill, working endlessly but going nowhere? Have you caught yourself smiling at things you don't find funny, swallowing words you wish you could say, or pretending to be okay when you're far from it? Here's a thought. Isn't it strange how we often treat our well-being like an afterthought, investing more energy into things that drain us than into habits that build us? It's like wearing a backpack full of bricks while climbing a mountain, except the bricks are everyone else's expectations and the mountain is your life. Or imagine trying to fill a leaky bucket. You pour and pour, but no matter how much effort you put in, it's never enough. But before we begin, pay attention to this story that will help you better understand the wisdom behind this material. The Journey of Eamon. In a village nestled between the mountains and the sea, there was a young man named Eamon. He wasn't known for wealth or fame, but for something much more powerful, his unshakable discipline. The villagers often whispered about him, calling him the man who could face anything with a calm heart and a steady hand. But few knew the secret behind his strength, his unrelenting daily practice of Stoicism. Eamon's father had taught him early on that true strength wasn't built in a single moment of glory. "Strength comes from the choices you make every day, my son," he would say as they sat by the fire, the crackling warmth of the hearth reflecting in their eyes. Every thought, every action, every hardship is an opportunity to build your character. One fateful day, a violent storm struck the village. The waves crashed mercilessly against the shore, tearing through the fishing boats and flooding the homes of the villagers. As the storm raged on, the people panicked. They gathered their belongings, fearing that they had lost everything. The storm had taken it all, except their hope, but not Eamon. While the others stood paralyzed by fear, Eamon stepped forward, his face calm, his heart steady. He knew what he had to do. With every ounce of strength, he focused only on what was within his control. "I cannot stop the storm, but I can control how I face it," he whispered to himself, a mantra that had guided him through many challenges. Every day, as the storm's winds howled in the distance, Eamon worked. He repaired the boats that the storm had shattered, piece by piece. The work was grueling. His hands were raw from hours of labor, and the village watched him in disbelief. "How can he keep going? Doesn't he see the impossible task ahead?" they murmured. But Eamon never wavered. He woke with the dawn and worked until the last light of day. He didn't see setbacks, only opportunities to grow. The villagers began to notice something extraordinary. While others sat idle, waiting for the storm to pass, Eamon was always moving, always striving, his mind and spirit unbroken. Then one day, something changed. The boats were no longer broken. They were whole again, ready to sail. The village, which had once felt like a barren wasteland of lost hope, slowly began to heal. The crops grew again, the homes were rebuilt, and laughter echoed in the streets. The villagers had watched Eamon transform not just the boats, but the entire spirit of the village with his unwavering determination. One evening, as the village gathered to celebrate their new beginning, they asked Eamon how he had managed to keep going when everything seemed lost. Eamon smiled, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of someone who had faced his deepest fears. "The storm was never the enemy," Eamon said, his voice steady and clear. "The real battle was within me. Every day I chose to work on myself, my mind, my patience, my ability to stay calm under pressure. The universe doesn't bend to your will. You bend to the universe. It's your daily discipline that shapes you, not the circumstances around you." The villagers were struck by his words. They realized that Eamon had not only rebuilt the village, but he had shown them a new way to live. They too could face their own storms with strength, patience, and inner peace. All it took was the decision to work on themselves, every single day. From that day forward, Eamon's story became more than just a tale of one man's strength. It became a lesson that passed from one generation to the next, reminding everyone that the key to overcoming any challenge lies not in the world around us, but in the strength we build inside, one day at a time. This story shows that it's not the big moments that define us, but the small, consistent actions we take every day. By focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions, we can shape our reality, no matter what storms life brings our way. Number 1. Start your day by facing your fears. There's one simple truth we all need to accept. Fear will always be part of life. It doesn't matter who you are or where you're from. Fear finds a way to creep in, whether it's the fear of failure, the fear of judgment, or the fear of the unknown. We all carry these burdens. But here's the question: what if the secret to a better day, a better life, is not to run from fear, but to face it head-on? How many times have you woken up feeling that knot in your stomach, that creeping sense of dread about what lies ahead? The thing about fear is that it's a bully. It gets stronger the longer you avoid it. But what if you decided to stop hiding from it and start confronting it each morning? Let's talk about fear and how it controls us. Fear is a sneaky thing. It can start small, like a little voice telling you that you're not good enough, that today will be a disaster. And before you know it, that voice grows louder, controlling your thoughts, actions, and decisions. You may find yourself avoiding things that challenge you because fear has convinced you that staying safe is better. But here's the reality: if you keep running, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. The Stoics had a different view of fear. They understood that fear is not something to be avoided, but something to be faced. The Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." In other words, the fear you feel is often a creation of your own mind, not a true reflection of the danger at hand. So, how do you face your fears? The first step is acknowledging them. Look at that fear in the eye and ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Most of the time, when you break it down, the worst isn't as bad as your mind has made it out to be. Let's take a moment to think about those moments when fear has controlled you. Maybe you didn't take that risk at work because you were afraid of failing. Or maybe you didn't speak up in a conversation because you feared how others would judge you. The key here is not to let that fear dictate your life. Facing your fear isn't about being fearless. It's about showing up even when you're scared. Here's where Stoic wisdom can help. You cannot control the events of your day, but you can control how you respond to them. Fear will come, but you have the power to decide how much weight it carries in your life. The Stoics believed that your inner peace, your ability to stay calm and centered, comes from within, not from the world around you. Start by doing one thing every day that scares you. It doesn't have to be something huge, but something that challenges you. Maybe it's having a difficult conversation, taking on a new project, or putting yourself out there in a way you haven't before. Each time you face that fear, you'll realize it's not as powerful as it once seemed. What does this mean for your life? It means you stop letting fear control you. You start your day with courage. You build confidence with every small victory over fear. And as you make a habit of confronting your fears, you'll start to notice a shift in how you view the world. Fear no longer holds power over you, and you'll find yourself living with more freedom, more purpose, and more peace. In the end, fear will always be a part of life. But it doesn't have to be the one that decides how you live your day. As the Stoics taught, what matters is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. And today, you can choose to face your fears and rise above them. Start your day by facing your fears and watch your life transform. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support is very valuable and motivates me to continue creating interesting content. Number 2. Stop wasting time on trivial things. Time is one of the few things you can never get back. We all have the same 24 hours, yet many of us waste a significant portion of it on things that don't matter. Whether it's mindlessly scrolling through social media, getting caught up in gossip, or worrying about things out of our control, these trivial activities steal precious moments from our lives. How often have you found yourself spending hours on something that didn't add any real value to your day? Maybe you watched one more episode on Netflix than you planned, or had a conversation that led nowhere. We're all guilty of it. But here's the truth. Every minute you spend on the trivial is a minute you'll never get back. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, were deeply aware of time's fleeting nature. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." For the Stoics, time was sacred. They believed that we can't control the events of our day, but we can control how we use the time we've been given. The first step in stopping the waste of time is acknowledging how we spend it. Many of us fill our time with distractions, checking our phones, engaging in unnecessary drama, or putting off important tasks. This is where we fall short. We let distractions guide our day instead of purpose. Ask yourself, what really matters to you? What are your long-term goals? If your actions aren't aligned with those goals, it's time to reassess. We all have the power to say no to things that don't serve us. Saying no to distractions and yes to what truly matters is a habit you can develop, just like the Stoics did. Setting boundaries is another key. The fear of missing out or the need to please everyone can often push us into wasting time. But by setting clear limits, you protect your most valuable resource, your time. Learn to say no, and don't feel guilty about it. The Stoics emphasized the importance of discipline, and time is the most important thing to be disciplined with. It's also crucial to reflect on how you spend your time. At the end of each day, ask yourself, did I spend my time on things that matter? Did I get closer to my goals today? This reflection can help you recognize where your time goes and motivate you to make better choices. Remember, time is one of the few things that's truly finite. When you stop wasting it on trivial things, you free yourself to focus on what really matters: growth, relationships, and pursuing your purpose. The Stoics taught us that it's not about how much time we have, it's about how we use it. Start today by choosing to live intentionally and stop letting the trivial define your day. If you've watched the video this far, don't forget to leave a comment with a "thank God" and give it a like if you enjoyed the content. Your support means a lot and motivates me to keep creating more interesting videos. I hope you find inspiration in them and that we continue learning together. Thank you for your support. Number 3. Train yourself to see opportunities in problems. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs at us. One minute, everything seems perfect, and the next, a problem comes crashing in, demanding your attention. But here's the secret that most people miss. Every problem is an opportunity wearing a disguise. The question is, will you see it, or will you let it pass by? How many times have you found yourself stuck in a situation, wondering why everything seems to be going wrong? Maybe you hit a roadblock at work, your relationships hit a rough patch, or you've made a mistake you can't undo. It's easy to let these moments drag you down, to get lost in frustration, anger, or despair. But here's something the Stoics understood well. The obstacle is the way. Every challenge can lead to growth, if you're willing to shift your perspective. Think of a problem as a locked door. At first glance, it might seem like a dead end. But with the right mindset, that door is actually an opportunity to unlock a new way forward. Instead of seeing the problem as something to avoid, Look at it as a doorway to personal development. The Stoics believed that what stands in your way actually pushes you towards your true potential. It's the greatest opportunity for growth, even if it doesn't look that way at first. Imagine facing a failure, a job you didn't get, a relationship that ended, or a project that didn't work out. It's easy to think, "I've failed. I'm done." But in reality, failure isn't the end. It's simply the beginning of something bigger. It's the moment when you learn exactly what doesn't work, so you can figure out what does. Failure is like a map. It shows you which paths lead to nowhere and which ones take you to new, uncharted territories. When you change how you see problems, you're not just surviving them, you're mastering them. It's about saying, "This situation is tough, but it's also an opportunity for me to improve." The next time life throws a curveball, instead of reacting with frustration, ask yourself, "What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger?" It's not about ignoring the difficulty, but embracing it as part of the journey. Think about a moment in your life when everything seemed to go wrong. Can you see now how that moment pushed you to become the person you are today? Sometimes it's the most painful experiences that bring the most valuable lessons. Just like a sculptor chisels away at a block of marble to reveal the masterpiece inside, every problem chisels away at who you are, revealing your true potential. This mindset shift doesn't happen overnight, but with practice, you'll begin to see the world differently. Every setback will become an opportunity. Every challenge will be a chance to rise to the occasion. Remember, problems are not obstacles. They are the hidden gems that will lead you to a better version of yourself. So, the next time you're faced with a problem, don't curse the situation. Don't let it defeat you. Instead, smile and say, "Here's my chance to grow. I'll turn this challenge into a stepping stone." Problems aren't something to fear. They're the fuel for your transformation. Number 4, focus on small wins, not big goals. We all have big dreams, visions of success, accomplishments, and milestones that feel just out of reach. But here's the catch. Big goals can often feel overwhelming. They seem so distant, so massive, that we freeze in place, unsure of where to start. The pressure to achieve them can paralyze us, and before we know it, we're stuck in a cycle of procrastination. But what if the key to achieving those big goals wasn't in focusing on the end result, but on the small wins along the way? The Stoics understood the power of small, consistent actions. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, often wrote about how progress wasn't about grand gestures, but about making small, meaningful choices every day. These small choices, over time, build up into something much larger than we can imagine. Instead of aiming for a giant leap, you take tiny steps that eventually carry you further than you could have imagined. Think about this. You've set a goal for yourself. Maybe it's writing a book, starting a business, or getting fit. The thought of accomplishing it all can feel like climbing a mountain. The summit seems so high and the path so steep. But here's the thing. The mountain is climbed not in one giant leap, but with small, steady steps. Now, what if instead of obsessing over the end goal, you focused on today's step? One page written, one phone call made, one healthy meal eaten. These are small wins, and each one brings you closer to that big goal without the overwhelming weight of the entire task. The power of small wins is in their ability to build momentum. Each time you achieve something, no matter how small, it boosts your confidence and motivates you to keep going. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. Each small win adds to the next, until you have something massive that feels effortless. When you focus on small wins, you change your mindset. You stop seeing the journey as an endless struggle toward an unattainable goal, and instead, you start celebrating progress, no matter how incremental. That shift in perspective is powerful. It's not about the destination, it's about enjoying the journey. Let's break it down. Think of a big goal, something that feels daunting. Now think about the first step you can take today to move toward that goal. Maybe it's just sending an email, reading one chapter, or planning the first step of your strategy. When you focus on that single action, you stop getting overwhelmed by the enormity of the task. You simply do what you can today, and tomorrow you do it again. Over time, these small wins accumulate, and suddenly you realize you're much closer to that big goal than you thought possible. The beauty of small wins is that they don't just get you closer to the finish line, they also create a sense of accomplishment along the way. Every time you celebrate a small win, you reinforce the idea that you're capable, that progress is possible, and that success isn't as far away as it seems. Ask yourself this: what's one small win you can celebrate today? It could be anything: a step toward a project, a positive change in your routine, or simply making it through a challenging day. The key is to recognize and appreciate those small wins, because they are the stepping stones to something bigger. Remember, big goals don't have to be overwhelming. They just need small, consistent actions. So, let go of the pressure to achieve everything at once. Focus on today's small win and watch how those wins stack up over time. The journey becomes easier and success becomes inevitable. Number 5. Let go of the need for approval. How many times have you caught yourself seeking approval from others? Whether it's from your boss, your friends, or even your family, there's always that voice in your head asking, do they like me? Do they approve of what I'm doing? Living for others' opinions is like chasing a moving target. No matter how fast you run, you can never quite catch it. At some point, you realize how exhausting it is to base your happiness and self-worth on the approval of others. And that's when you need to ask yourself, why am I trying to please everyone? Is this truly me? The Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, taught us that true freedom lies in self-mastery, not in seeking external validation. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You can't control what others think of you, but you can control how much weight you give to their opinions. Imagine this. You're standing at the edge of a cliff, looking out at a vast horizon, a world full of possibilities. Now, imagine being tethered to that cliff by a rope made of the opinions of others. Every time you try to step forward, that rope pulls you back. You can never move freely, never truly soar, because you're always tethered to what others think. Isn't it time to cut that rope? We all want to feel accepted, to belong, to be liked, but when you live for the approval of others, you lose yourself. You become a chameleon, constantly changing to fit the expectations of the world around you. And that's where you lose your power. The more you chase approval, the further you get from your true self. Think about it. When you're constantly looking for approval, you're putting your happiness in someone else's hands. You're waiting for them to give you permission to be yourself. But here's the truth. No one has the right to tell you how to live. No one has the right to make you feel that your worth is conditional. Let this sink in. Living authentically is not about pleasing everyone. It's about aligning with your values, your principles, and your vision for your life. Yes, it might mean standing alone sometimes. It might mean disappointing others or stepping outside of your comfort zone. But in the end, the only person you have to live with is yourself. So why not make that journey authentic, bold, and unapologetically yours? Think about the people you admire. Do they live their lives seeking approval, or do they walk to the beat of their own drum, unapologetically following their path, regardless of what others think? The truth is, The people who make the most impact in the world are the ones who aren't afraid to stand alone, to be different, and to refuse to be bound by the opinions of others. Here's the thing: when you stop seeking approval, you stop giving others the power to define your worth. You start living for yourself. You start owning your decisions, your actions, and your life. And that's when the real freedom begins. The Stoics believed that happiness comes not from external things, but from within. So, let go of the need for approval, and let your life be a reflection of your authentic self. If others can't see that, it's their loss, not yours. And if they do see it, they'll respect you even more for standing firm in who you are. Remember, you're not here to live someone else's life. You're here to live yours. So the next time you find yourself seeking validation, pause and ask, am I living for me or for them? And if the answer is for them, it's time to change the course. It's time to let go of the need for approval and start living fully, unapologetically, and authentically. Number 6, commit to one act of kindness daily. How often do we think about kindness? It's easy to get caught up in our own busy lives, focusing on what's next or what's wrong. But what if the key to a more fulfilling life isn't in achieving more, but in giving more? You see, kindness isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the quiet power that changes the world, one small act at a time. Every time you extend kindness to others, you not only lift their spirits, you lift your own. It's like planting seeds of goodwill that blossom into a garden of joy, peace, and connection. But let's get real for a second. The world is full of challenges, and it's easy to get swept up in negativity. You might feel like there's so much wrong that you can't even make a dent in it. You may even question if your acts of kindness matter at all. But here's the truth. Every little bit counts. Every smile, every kind word, every gesture, no matter how small, has the potential to create a ripple effect that can change someone's day, or even their life. Think about this. You're walking down the street and you see someone struggling with their bags. You pause, offer a hand, and help them carry it. It may seem like a tiny act, but for that person, it might be everything. That small act of kindness can turn their day around, spark a sense of connection, and remind them that there's goodness in the world. Kindness is a choice, and it's a powerful one. The Stoics knew that true strength comes not from external accomplishments or dominance, but from the inner strength to act with virtue, even in the face of adversity. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher and emperor, often reflected on how important it was to live with kindness and justice, not as a reaction to the world around him, but as a commitment to himself and to the good of humanity. Now, you might be thinking, I'm already busy. How do I fit kindness into my day? It's simple. Start small. Commit to one act of kindness every day, no matter how minor it may seem. It could be as simple as holding the door for someone, giving a compliment, or taking the time to listen when someone needs to talk. The important part is making it a habit, a daily choice that becomes part of who you are. What's the impact of this daily practice? First, you'll begin to notice the positive energy you're putting into the world. Your own mood will shift as you start to realize that kindness is something you can control, even when other parts of your life feel chaotic. And over time, you'll find that you're not just spreading kindness, you're receiving it in return. And that's the beauty of it. When you commit to one act of kindness each day, you're building a foundation of gratitude, compassion, and connection. You'll feel more aligned with your true self, and you'll start seeing the world through a lens of possibility instead of frustration. Let's be honest. It's easy to get caught up in our own struggles, to feel overwhelmed by the challenges life throws at us. But when you choose to focus on kindness, you shift your energy from inwardly focused to outwardly focused. And that shift makes all the difference. Here's your challenge. Starting today, commit to one act of kindness. It could be something as small as helping a neighbor or as significant as volunteering your time. Whatever it is, make it a daily habit and watch as your world and the world around you transforms. Remember, kindness is not just about making others feel good. It's about making you feel good too. It's a reminder that we are all in this together. So step up, make that commitment, and watch how kindness can change not only someone else's life, but your own. Number 7. Be accountable to yourself. It's easy to wait for someone else to hold us accountable, whether it's a boss, a partner, or a friend. We think, if only someone would push me, then I'd be able to make progress. But the truth is, true growth comes when you take full responsibility for your own actions and decisions. Being accountable to yourself means not relying on external motivation to drive you. It's about holding yourself to the highest standard even when no one is watching. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of self-discipline and internal responsibility. He believed that the key to living a good life wasn't in waiting for external forces to shape us, but in taking ownership of our own choices. Think about this. You're responsible for your actions, your habits, and your growth. No one else can do it for you. If you're not where you want to be in life, the first step is to stop blaming others or external circumstances. Look inward, ask yourself what you can do to change, and take the first step. Accountability to yourself is about being brutally honest with where you are right now and where you want to go. It's about setting clear goals, tracking your progress, and making adjustments as needed. And when you slip up, because you will, it's not about self-criticism. It's about owning your mistakes, learning from them, and doing better next time. Here's the secret. When you commit to being accountable to yourself, you'll start seeing progress in ways you never imagined. No one else's approval matters because you're already proud of the steps you're taking. Don't wait for someone else to give you permission to grow. Take control of your actions, hold yourself responsible, and watch how much you can achieve. You're the only one who can shape your future, so start today. If you've watched the video this far, don't forget to leave a comment with a thank God and give it a like if you enjoyed the content.